Welcome back to Off the Hook Crochet with Nicole, and we are into March, which means it's time for our February roundup.
Rip, we got stragglers in the timber.
We're coming at you.
How did I do in February? Did I meet my goals? Did I get some projects completed? Did I reduce my stash? I don't know. We're going to find out. So let's dive in with what I made in March. The first thing that I finished is this headband. Now, I do a lot of Pilates, which means that my hair kind of goes flying all over the place when I'm working out, and I needed something that was going to keep all those flyaways under control. So I just kind of whipped up this handy little crochet headband. And I didn't follow a specific pattern for the actual headband. I did follow a pattern, which I'll put in the comments below, the links below, for the actual the stitch, basically. And then I was sort of just kind of winging it on how to attach it to the rubber band. I'm probably going to work on perfecting this because I'd like to do more. And if I get it figured out and it's something you want me to do a tutorial on, let me know in the comments and I will be happy to make that a priority. Otherwise, I'm just going to do it at my own pace. But that's the first thing I accomplished. I wanted something that was a quick win. I didn't have to stress over it, and I knew I wasn't going to be working on it all month long. Okay, the second thing that I completed is the Sandy Shell Cardi by MJ's Off the Hook Designs. Hopefully you can see it. But this is a wraparound cardigan. So there's a tie at the back, and it just kind of unties like that. Then you wrap it around. And I love this because the weather here in Arizona, we don't have a lot of really cold days, but I might get a little bit of air conditioning that's blowing on me, and I just want something that is a little bit subtle. Now, I love the stitch design on these sleeves. It gives it's holey, it's meshy, but it's cute and attractive. I made them slightly shorter because I hate it when the sleeves are really long. If you like it, you could certainly do an extra round. But for me, I think the sleeve length is just about perfect. So if I'm like that versus if I'm down, it's a little longer. But if I'm actually doing something, it's not going to get in my way. So that was really handy. And this is the second thing that I completed. I started this in January, so I was almost done with it in February, but I needed to finish it, so I couldn't put it on my January mix. The next thing that I finished in February is, my sweatshirt that, if you've seen the video, I already posted the tutorial on how to do these sleeves. And here's my thought process. Like, I did this before they started coming out as really popular. Over the last several weeks, I've started to see a ton of posts about these. But I was actually working on this long before that. It just took me that long to actually finish it. I got this sweatshirt from my mother-in-law, and I love the saying. It's so cute, but I don't like sweatshirts because the collars are too tight around my neck, and these sleeves were way too big for what I could use. So I decided to customize it and make it my own, and I did do up a tutorial for those, which means I also almost finished a second one that I was working on the tutorial. Now, I say I almost finished it because I stopped after the second sleeve. I didn't need to do the second sleeve for the tutorial, and I was going to run out of yarn, and I really did not want to buy more yarn for this sweatshirt. Now, I might come around to it at some point in time because it is kind of a cute sweatshirt, but I really don't wear that many sweatshirts anyway. So I was like, let me just do enough to finish the tutorial, and then I'm happy with that. If this never gets finished beyond that, I'm okay with it, because it was really more of a project for a specific video that I was creating and not something that I was planning on gifting or keeping for myself. So yeah, I'm fine with it the way it is. And another quick win project that I had to do was this yarn cozy, because there are times when I do a cake of yarn and I'm not putting this on my spinner that I usually use, and I just want it to stop kind of running all over the place. I swear these things have wheels and they just sort of spin all over the place.
It always gets away.
So I wanted to keep something nice and cozy, and I had some scrap yarn from a baby blanket that my mother-in-law made, and it was the perfect, it was so cute. Yeah, I don't know what kind of yarn this is, so I can't post that for you in the comments, but this is just a quick, easy project. There are some tutorials on how to do them, but I kind of just went with my own sort of, hey, I know how to do, you know, enough around, and then start working around the side. I know enough on crocheting that I didn't need a tutorial for that, because the size or anything like that wasn't specific. I just needed it to be big enough, and that works perfectly. Our next project, and I'm going to save my other big one for last. The next project I finished up is this. It's technically called a beach bag, and I made it because I am planning on using it at farmers markets or when I go to Sprouts, because you need to have your own bags there. Rather than using the large versions of these, which don't really compact all that nicely. I mean, you can fold them, but then when I'm walking around the farmer's market, I want to hold the handle and then it falls apart and it kind of opens up, and it's just annoying. So I wanted to make my own. This pattern is a free pattern from Hobie, and I just used up some scrap cotton that I have on hand. The one modification that I did to this is that they do not have you doing an extra stitch inside. They only have you doing the stitch on the outside. And I wanted to make the straps a little heftier, and I also wanted to make it look a little bit more complete because this was kind of thin. So I wanted it to be more complete and look a little bit more like that. So I did an extra round on the inside as well, just to give it a little bit more of that thorough look. So I'm super happy with it. I took it to the farmer's market today, worked great for what I needed it for, and I might make one or two more just to kind of stash them places because I always forget. So if you remember, if you've been watching, you know I've been working on a big project, the Great Crochet t-shirt project. And I'm going to give you an update on that right now. So, ta-da! Here we go. Now, I don't have the best tank top under this. I probably would wear a different one. And in fact, I actually don't even need a tank top under it for the most part. But here's the final result of the first top that I'm doing. And that's the key to this Great Crochet t-shirt experiment, is that I plan on making 2 or 3 of the exact same top using different yarns. So this one is the yarn that the designer used, which is the Knit Picks Stroll. And this is actually in the hand-painted sangria. So if you look for Knit Picks Stroll, hand-painted sangria, that's this one. And I'll, of course, link that in the description. And the only modification I did on this is she has ruffle sleeves on it. Because I'm a slightly larger breasted,
Is that what we're calling it?
wink, wink, nod, nod, nudge, nudge, slightly larger breasted woman, ruffles don't, they accentuate the breasts, and I don't need any additional accentuation on that area. So I left the ruffles off and just did the 2 rows before she starts the ruffles. And I think it came out perfect. I'm really, really happy with it. One of the things I was nervous about is in the back, before I blocked it, kind of washed it and blocked it, there was a lot of puckering and bubbling in this area. There's still a small amount, but it's not so much that it bothers me now. And I'm really glad, because I mean, it almost looked like I was missing a set of breasts on my back. So if you're working on this project and you're seeing that, trust the process, wash it and block it before you assume that that's just part of this pattern, because it looks so much better afterwards. So I'm thrilled with this. I'm so happy with the way it came out. I know this is going to be a staple piece in my wardrobe, and that means that I have actually already started on the second one, which I am using a cotton for this one. So this one was a super merino wash and nylon blend. And this is 100% cotton. It is the Hobie cotton 84 mercerized. And what I'm actually going to do is I'm actually going to color block it, so that, I'm not sure if color blocking is the right term. I'm going to do the purple solid for several rows, and then I'm trying to decide. I honestly have not fully decided, but I have these 3 extra colors, and I'm not sure how I'm going to blend them, what I'm going to do with them, but it's going to be something along that lines. And because this is 100% cotton fingering weight, I wanted to see how the cotton works up and how it wears during my summers compared to the wool. That's one of the big things for me, is I want to know, should I really be leaning more on the cotton? I hear so much about, if you live in a dry or a hot climate, you should be making all of your garments with cotton, 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 cotton. So let me test it and see how it works out. And we'll see which one I prefer, which one wears better, which one lasts longer, which one washes up better, which one should I rely on much more than the other. So that's one of the key things. I may try out other yarns as well, but these 2 I definitely wanted to kind of test out and see. Okay, so that's my first whip, work in progress, which means we're segueing to whips now. So that the second version of this is my first whip for March. This took me about 20, maybe not quite 20 days, so a little less than 3 weeks to make. And now that I'm totally comfortable with it, it'll probably take me slightly less than that. But honestly, I didn't struggle much with the pattern at all. So I didn't have to frog very much, which means I think it'll be pretty close to the 3-week mark anyway. Maybe I can cut that down. We'll see. The next whip that I am working on, I'll review over here. This was sort of just a project on a whim. I want to have, because have I told you I live in Arizona? Have I said that enough times yet? And the big problem with Arizona is that we go from outside where it can be 110 degrees to in a store or in a movie theater where it's like 68 degrees and you freeze your cojones off. So it's always nice to have some sort of just a casual sweater, cardigan type thing. And so I thought I would make one, and I have this boucle yarn that's huge. So I thought it would be a good stash buster because there's not many things I'm going to use this boucle yarn for. And I mean, it's kind of pretty. I like the blue and the brown. It's really a pretty, I'll link it, but I think it's probably a discontinued yarn if I have to guess. So we'll see. And it's just a simple sort of shrug, but it's going to be bigger, kind of loose, not real snug, so that and it's using a double crochet. So there's plenty of holes in there. It's just so that I can have something to cover my arms when I'm in Costco, which tends to get cold, or any of those kind of places, something I can keep in my car and have as a go-to as I need to. So the pattern actually says you can work this up in a day. I think that's a little optimistic. Maybe if you worked all day at it, but I don't crochet that much. I mean, I think I crochet probably more than a lot of people, but not that much. So we'll see. Maybe 3 or 4 days that one will take me. Okay. So that brings us to what yarn did I use up this month? Okay, so I'm going to be looking over at my computer monitor over here just as my kind of cheat sheet. I used up 7 grams for the hairband. I used up 32 grams for my crochet cozy, yarn cozy. I used 217 grams, 31 grams, and 125 grams of the Simply Soft, Caron Simply Soft, and those were for the sweatshirts that I was working on. Then I used 299 grams for the Sandy Seashells wrap, and that was in Dahlia Mixo from Hobby, and 295 grams for the top that I'm wearing now, and 146 grams for the market bag. So total used in February is 1,152 grams. That's not too bad. I'm not too disappointed in that. However, despite my best plans to really stash bust, and I did horrible in January, I still did not come out with less at the end of February than I bought. And part of the reason is because I needed to buy another skein to finish this up. So that was an additional 141 grams that I purchased, and I still have obviously some of that left over, but not enough to finish up the sleeve of the other shirt. So that's not quite a win-win. And then I was given a 20% off coupon for a local yarn store that is closing down in April. So they were only honoring these coupons in the month of February. I had to use it in February or lose it. So I went with the intention of picking a yarn that I've never seen before and something that was unique and different to me so that I could continue on my yarn exploration. But I still have it in my head that every time I buy yarn, I have to have enough of that yarn to be able to do a garment of some sort. If I don't, I kind of know it's just going to sit there and not get used at all. So let me show you what I bought. And I only spent $46 on this. So, or maybe it was $36. I can't remember now, but it was not a lot for this amount of yarn. This is called Rozetti Yarns Nymph. And I don't know how well you can see that, but there's a slight halo. I love yarns with halo. I just think that that gives a garment just a nice touch, a nice feminine touch that I like. Like, I don't like the ruffles, but I love the halo. It just feels so soft and warm, and I'm very tactile. I'm trying not to rub it on my face too much because I actually have foundation on today. But this is a cotton. It has, let me see here, grandma glasses time. It's 50 grams, 125 yards, 84% cotton, and 16% polyamide. So it's a cotton, which I keep hearing you got to wear cotton. And it still has that halo. So, and it's so soft and luscious. It feels so, so nice. So I'm actually really looking forward. This is a DK weight. So it's a number 3 weight. And I've never seen this before. I've never heard of this. I'm really curious how to work this up. So that is definitely going to be one of my summer projects so that I have something that's a nicer, cooler, dressy summer out top. And since there's 125 yards, I think I ended up getting 9 skeins. So I'm just over 1,000 yards. So whether I find a tank top or something like that, I'm sure I can make something that's on the smaller, that's on the less substantial side, not like a sweater, obviously. It's not enough for that. But that's such a fun purchase. And that means that between this and the extra skein that I needed to finish that, I'm at 1,266 grams purchased. 1,266 grams purchased. Wait a minute. That's not right at all. Because these are 50 grams. I was doing yardage on that. Oh, hold on. Let me do the math.
Math?
100, 200, 300, 400, 450. Oh, that's way better. Okay. Okay, so that's totally crazy to me. I typed in my numbers using the yardage when everything else that I've been using is the grams in this particular scenario. So that totally threw my numbers off. I've redone the numbers and I'm actually ahead for the month instead of, or for the year. No, still for the month. For the year, I'm still behind. I have increased for the year by 1,040 grams. And I'm going to go back and double check to make sure January I didn't make that same mistake. For February, I decreased my stash by 561 grams. So that I'm happy about. Okay. I was like, oh man, I tried so hard. So that's, yes, super win. And okay, I don't know why that makes me so giddy right now, but so these are my 2 whips. I've got the second shirt and I've got the kind of wrap shawl shrug, whatever you call them. I couldn't really figure out the name of them, but whatever it is, it's good. And I'm not sure what else I'll work on this month. I'm sure I'll have 1 or 2 kind of quick win projects that, well, maybe that shawl will be a quick win project, but we'll see. And we'll go from there. Let me know, how did you do in February? Are you kind of tracking these things? Are you nerdy like I am and you track all these things? I would love to hear from you. Make sure you comment below and we'll see you next week.